Well, hello everybody. Tom Sykes, the Royalist here. Tonight I have an absolute treat for us, joined by Plum Sykes, contributing editor at Vogue, one of the most brilliant fashion writers of her generation, the author of an absolute cult classic novel, Bergdorf Blondes, the debutante divorcee, and her new book, of course, Wives Like Us. And of course, you all probably know her from her incredible Substack, PS by Plum Sykes. She is also my sister. And we're just thrilled to have her here to talk to us about the new Meghan shoot, the new Duchess of Sussex shoot in Harper's Bazaar. And it's a fascinating, the article that went with it, of course, people have talked about a lot. We're not going to be talking much about the article today. We really want Plum's such a brilliant fashion writer and fashion observer. We're really going to be talking a lot about the fashion, but also, of course, about what it signifies, what it tells us about Meghan, how she sees herself, how she wants us to see her. And Plum, I was really thinking, looking at this, I was thinking, you obviously spent, decades at the coalface of this kind of fashion industry inside. What would the atmosphere have been like? What would the preparation have been like for a shoot like this? And would it have, what's your sort of sense of whether this was how this was conducted by the magazine? Tell us a bit about Harper's Bazaar. Tell us a bit about what the shoots are like.
Well, Harper's Bazaar is it's the other Vogue in America, really. And it's got a great long history as a very, very chic magazine. It's a bit smaller than American Vogue in terms of its kind of reach and stuff, but it is a very classy magazine, so it's as classy. So I think first of all, it's interesting that she chose to be on the cover of Bazaar. I wonder if there was a Vogue option. I think most people take Vogue if there is a Vogue option, so maybe there wasn't. I think she might end up on the cover of Vogue at some point after seeing her at that Balenciaga show greeting Anna Wintour. I think that's going to be on the cards, because I think for the magazines, she is just such a talking point. Love her, hate her. We're all talking about this shoot. And I do think that the shoot is completely fascinating. And I particularly think this cover image is super fascinating. So when you're talking about what's it like being on one of these shoots, well, there'll be a lot of people, there'll be a lot of hair and makeup, there'll be a lot of photographers' assistants, stylists, wardrobe people ironing. There would be a manicurist, there'd be someone doing the pedicure, there'd be someone doing the eyebrows. Oh, look, hi Plum, happy to see you, Patty, as well. And I think it looks like from the behind the scenes stuff that she looked like she was having quite a nice time. You get pampered. Vogue and Bazaar really do it well. They make that person feel like a superstar for that day. It's like a fairy tale. It's like Cinderella. But what I think is really interesting is that she's wearing Dior on the cover, and that she's wearing the bar jacket, BAR, which stems from when Mr. Dior launched his first collection after the war, after there'd been rationing and everything. He launched this jacket called the bar jacket, which was part of the new look. And it had this famously nipped-in waist, soft shoulder. And of course, then it had the very wide skirt, which was full of voluminous amounts of fabric. And it was a reaction to the war. And it became this iconic jacket, which they have run through every single collection. The interesting thing about this particular bar jacket is that it was designed by Jonathan Anderson, who's the new designer at Dior. He is the hottest designer in the world right now, apart from Thomas Blasi at Chanel. And this jacket would have been as hard to get for the cover as getting Meghan for the cover, because every single magazine would have wanted to photograph the new Jonathan Anderson interpretation of the bar jacket for their cover. So the jacket is as much of a star as Meghan, and it's just been reworked, it's been reinvented, it's much more modern, it's got this kind of like soft bow and everything, and it's a serious statement about take me seriously, because Dior clothes, they have this seriousness about them, which is sort of in them when you put them on, like you can feel it. They're so constructed, they're so couture, they're so expensive, they're like the real deal. It's like Chanel, Dior, Balenciaga, those Paris houses. You mean business. You're kind of trying to intimidate.
Right.
If you showed up at a business meeting,
Yeah. So really, so there's competition to get the first view of a specific piece of clothing in a fashion magazine as much
Yeah.
as getting the star as well,
Yes,
is there?
so getting an exclusive on Meghan for her show, which I'm assuming this is what it is. They've also got the exclusive first look at that jacket, which
Yeah,
only debuted on the runway a
yeah,
few weeks ago in Paris. So they're running it very early because it's actually spring, summer. And it's also that thing of like, we've got it before anyone else. And all the magazines are in competition with each other for getting the clothes as well as the celebrities. So they've got a kind of dual problem. You know,
yeah,
they can't just put someone on the cover in a dressing gown like Marilyn Monroe and think that's going to do it. It's got to be an iconic piece of clothing as well. And I think actually they have achieved it with this. And then what I also think is interesting is that with that quite severe jacket and that quite severe look, she looks like she's got no makeup on. She will have makeup on because otherwise she would look completely washed out. But the look is the no makeup look, which is very fashionable among celebrities right now. It's almost telegraphing, I'm a natural beauty. I haven't done anything. I haven't had a facelift. I haven't whatever. And I'm really showing you me. Who am I? And I think that she looks quite sort of girlish and young in that picture. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd want to be on the cover of Bazaar with absolutely, well, virtually no makeup on, but it's a choice. It's a look, you know.
mm, mm. It's a very yeah. Oh right, okay. So yeah, moving on to this next one then. So this is a Chanel dress. I'm only reading the caption there, I'm afraid. Unlike Plum, I can't identify a designer from 500 yards. I suppose what's interesting about the whole shoot is that it's really divided. It's really divided opinion between people. So some people, obviously, the editorial team of Bazaar think that it's fantastic, but it's interesting how a lot of regular people like me or what have you haven't really got it and feel that it is very austere. That it doesn't look particularly. It doesn't make us feel particularly warm. In fact, Ben, if you could just go back to that cover
It's the opposite of
one
warm.
more time.
It's
Like,
quite cold.
it's very like full on, isn't it? I mean, it's like very like there's I don't know.
Well, it's telegraphing a seriousness. It's like she doesn't want to be too fashiony or too girly or whatever. I mean, also the choice of photographer is quite interesting because he's called Malik Bodian. He is originally Senegalese. He's a very, very trendy fashion photographer. And he is represented by Art and Commerce in New York, who represent people like Stephen Meisel. So he is one of the top in the world. He's based between Dakar and Paris, interestingly. So he spends lots of time in Senegal. And he works with, you know, Vogue. He did the cover of Vogue, British Vogue with Ray, that pop singer. He's done a lot of Chanel ads. He's done the Wales Bonner ads. Wales Bonner. Oh yes, is that one of his pictures, Ben? I think it is, isn't it? For Vogue, one of those. And you know, the Wales Bonner girls become the Hermes designer. He's done Chloe. He's done the covers of Dazed and Confused. So she's picked a very cool photographer, and she's clearly gone along with his vision of what she was going to be. And you can see from this photograph, which is from a different shoot, his style is very austere. It's very serious. It's not frivolous. And I think that she's trying to telegraph what she keeps repeating. I'm a founder. I'm a female founder. I'm a businesswoman. I want to be taken seriously.
Right.
I totally
get back to her in the white suit, please, Ben. Go forward one.
Oh, the Chanel.
Yeah, the Chanel.
Yes. So that's
Chanel,
a little sort of that's a little sort of like halter neck. And actually she wore a halter neck Stella McCartney dress after her wedding, if you remember. I'm sure you do, Tom. Which means that high neck and sleeveless. She likes wearing sleeveless things. She's got amazing arms.
Right.
I mean,
it's weird though, isn't it? Like, because so what I see here is somebody who's not into fashion and doesn't understand particularly the language of fashion. Although I do, you know, I worked in magazines. I worked at GQ, which is, you know,
but that doesn't count in fashion.
Quite different. Yeah, it's quite different. Like what I see here when I look at this, I like, just for me personally, I don't feel like it's a very inviting photograph. It doesn't feel warm. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. It feels, and I mean, maybe that's just I'm too used to lovely, shiny photographs by Mario Testino where Princess Diana looks amazing and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I don't know. It feels like,
Well,
it feels quite art house or something.
yeah,
Like
but
trying
that's
to
what
art
she'll be
house or...
wanting, because that slightly art house, slightly cool. She wants to be cool and fashionable. Like, she went to that Balenciaga show because she wants to plant herself in the fashion firmament. She doesn't want a Mario Testino picture. She doesn't want glossy red lips and, you know, piles of makeup and mascara and everything, because that now seems dated in fashion. Because remember, these niche fashion magazines like Bazaar, they are the upper echelon of what's going on. So they want to feel ahead. So to everyone else will take a bit of time to catch up to this kind of cold look. But, you know, I do agree with you that it is quite austere, and the styling and the clothes are quite austere. And for me, I feel, as a fashion person, I'm like, but what is this person's style? Where is, I can't see what her style is in here. It's not there. It's just not there. This has been heavily styled by a stylist, and annoyingly, I couldn't find out the name of the stylist, which is really irritating, but it's probably someone very good. And every single piece in it is chic. Every single piece is bang on trend, but there's no personality in the clothes. That's my criticism. I'm just like a white dress,
a bit hollow or something. It
yeah,
just feels a bit,
you know, there's no bags. There's, you know, there's like a couple of pairs. There's no bags. There's no hats. There's no jewelry. There's no, I mean, there's you know, one pair of Tiffany diamond earrings. Like, it's so understated that it's almost got lost in its understatedness. And it's that kind of, it's why, you know, stealth wealth and quiet luxury and everything is so boring to look at.
right.
You know, it's not like looking at a kind of, you know, Nina Ricci ball gown or an Oscar de la Renta pink dress with a ruffle on the back and all of that kind of stuff. It's not it's not a fantasy. I can't see Tom, by the way, you've disappeared.
No, that's okay. Don't worry. That's just Ben. That's just Ben doing his magic tricks.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
You sent some pictures to us earlier of Wallis Simpson. Why did you want to talk about them? Could we look at them, Ben?
Yeah. So what I thought was really interesting was the choice of the Dior bar jacket, because there's this very famous picture of Duchess of Windsor in a Dior bar jacket. And actually, Meghan has worn lots of Dior through her career. Do you remember she wore that white coat? I think it was after the christening of one of her children. It was a white Dior coat. She wore a black Dior dress with a black hat. She looked absolutely stunning. It was kind of strapless. She looked amazing. She does like Dior, and it's very kind of hot at the moment, but it's very severe. And if you look, there's another picture of the Duchess of Windsor that we've got, which is also a black dress. You can see that there's a seriousness. I mean, that I think is a beautiful photograph. I think it might be Horst, actually, that photograph, or Pen.
Right.
And the dress is so chic. And again, it's all about this little tiny waist. I wonder if Meghan saw these photographs. I can't believe she didn't when she was looking at, shall I do Dior or not? Because there's so much history with Dior, and the clothes have got this line that kind of go through them. I also think the way that she did her hair in that kind of loose chignon thing for most of them is very reminiscent of this.
Right.
You know, unconsciously or consciously, I don't know. But believe me, every single person who would have been working on that shoot would have had in their head, or no, sorry, not in their head, out in front of them, a lot of references before they did this shoot. How do we want it to look? What are we referring to? What are we referencing? All these black and white photos of the Duchess of Windsor, I think, are like haunting it in the background somehow.
Really? So you think there's an absolute deliberate reference to the Duchess of Windsor?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if these pictures weren't on the mood board, let's put it that way. Really? And they're such famous photographs that Malik, the photographer, would absolutely know. They'd be in his DNA of his creativity. So subconsciously or consciously, I do think these kind of things come out. And magazine editors love referring to famous fashion photographs in their photography, because it speaks to their little niche of other fashion people who go, oh yes, that's like, you know, the horse picture of the Duchess of Windsor in her apartment in Paris or whatever. And obviously, you know, they're both Americans, they're both divorcees.
Both caused a certain amount of trouble.
Both caused a little bit of a stir.
Family.
And I mean, I sort of think the clothes, I mean, they're a bit, let's go on to another picture, Ben, of the shoot. Let's go on to the next.
Can I just say there about Wallis, just back to Wallis one moment. I mean, Wallis, as you say, those pictures of Wallis, like, there's something about, I mean, like, I just feel like
she had immense style.
Screw you. It's very like, I'm gonna have a laugh. I want it all to be totally fabulous. You know, I don't know. There's just something very defiant about.
Well, the difference is that this is how Wallis Simpson dressed herself. She didn't borrow these things. This was her wardrobe. She was a huge couture customer. And the other big difference, Tom, is the context, right? So it's all about here. I think this is her apartment in Paris that she had with the Duke of Windsor. And you can just sense the glamour, you know, that double string of probably Cartier pearls around her neck, that massive diamond earring and the bracelet, you know, and the pose and everything. And, you know, let's not forget, it's one of the greatest photographers of the last century. You know, it's incredibly glamorous. And that was an era, that was the golden era of Hollywood glamour, Paris glamour, you know, the 40s and 50s. So I think it is an interesting comparison, because when you put someone in a studio, which is what they've done with Meghan, you've just got a white sheet of paper behind you, and it's very stark and it's very revealing. And if you are a supermodel, that is okay. If you know what to do, that is okay. And if you're used to wearing clothes in a certain way, making the move and whatever. But Meghan's an actress. She's not a supermodel. And there's a big difference between shooting a brilliant model and an actor. It's not the same thing at all. The clothes, you know, they look different on those different kind of. Will Harper's Bazaar allow Meghan to get away with keeping some of the clothes and shoes? What a brilliant question, S. Hicks. So the answer to that is that Harper's Bazaar don't own the clothes. The designers own the clothes, and they will have lent the clothes to Harper's Bazaar for the shoot. It has been known on fashion shoots that sometimes people in the shoots just walk off with them, which is really naughty. But it's also been known that a designer will say before, if this person wants to keep it, please let them keep it. But I personally think with these particular clothes, these are such expensive clothes, and these are the samples for next spring. There is only one of those bar jackets in the American press office. There is only one of those Chanel dresses, and that's got to go around all the other magazines. So those samples, I think, probably will not be hers, but I wouldn't be surprised if she would be gifted things by those designers potentially. And I would imagine that she is submerged under a tsunami of free clothes every single day.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I don't think she would have walked off from that shoot. And I think it would be a bit unseemly, actually, to do so. Because you've got to remember, these designers, they're lending them for a reason. They're not lending them to, they're not giving things. So this is an interesting one. This is very interesting designer, the Row, which is designed by the Olsen twins.
Okay.
Did you not know that, Tom?
I'm afraid I didn't.
That's interesting. So the Olsen twins were these famous child celebrities, you know, in the 90s. They're in all these kind of child shows, and they made so much money that they then became really chic because they could afford lots and lots of clothes. And the way that they dress is they're both absolutely tiny, very, very thin, and very, very short and petite, and they dress in clothes that swamp them, so they look even smaller and even thinner. And they have great big Kelly bags that almost cover them, or Birkin bags, and they have great big coats and things. And they've created this incredibly successful line called the Row, in which everything is oversized, including this trench coat, which I think looks potentially a bit too oversized. I'm not sure if that is a really good look. I love the black polo neck, I love the blouse, and I love the skirt. It's very Suits, you know, it's reminiscent of that. It's also very reminiscent of what Melania wore to visit the UK, her Burberry trench coat.
Here's some feedback from one of our readers. The
Windsor
Duchess of Windsor truly was chic,
Mm.
where to me, the clothes were Meghan. Wallis Simpson had glamour and real style, where Meghan is just plain young and guttish, look mannish and scruffy to me. And I think they may be talking about this photograph in particular. It is a deliberately kind of anti-pretty girl photo.
It's almost an anti-glamour
like,
picture. It's like, I don't need to, I'm so beautiful. It's tomboy, you know, it's tomboy. I mean, I think I don't think she looks mannish. I think that androgynous thing, which is considered quite cool right now in fashion, is she's kind of leaning into that trend.
Right.
And fashion magazines will always be leaning into whatever's the current trend of the moment. But I do agree with the person who just came on the screen that there is a huge difference between Wallis Simpson and the way that she wears clothes and the way that Meghan wears clothes.
Yeah.
And it's because Wallis Simpson, you know, understood Paris fashion from a very young age. She had that wardrobe way before she became the Duchess of Windsor. She was married to a very, very wealthy man, and she was just a big, you know, a big shopper, and she was revered for her style and glamour. That's why she was photographed so much. You know, even though
as you said to me actually when we were discussing this, you said in a funny sort of way, Meghan is here very much trying to cast herself as the female founder, as the power player. And in fact, she actually looked a hell of a lot better when she was just before she was famous, and she was just a student in her jeans and her Gap hoodie. Like she just kind of almost, you know, like there's a funny thing.
If she wanted to be really cool, if I was rebranding her, I would say go and do that shoot and be on the cover in, you know, the Gap jeans that Gwyneth Paltrow is wearing in the Gap ad, and a really expensive white shirt from the Charvet one that they did for Chanel that's $4,500. I would be doing that. And I would be saying, you're an all-American girl, stop pretending to be Paris fashion girl. You're all-American girl, so lean into that and be that all-American girl. Because I do remember, like you're saying, when we saw those first pictures of her with Harry, and she was just in the blue jeans, the white shirt, the sunglasses, and the baseball cap. She looked great. And actually, in Silicon Valley, you know, people, that's what they wear to work. That's what they wear. They don't wear suits. They don't wear Dior jackets. They wear that maybe when they go out to a gala or something. But you know,
definitely this weird thing with Meghan, I always felt where like when we first saw her and we first got to know her, you know, years ago when the stories first started coming out, and she was just doing her thing, and she was in her jeans and blah blah blah, and she seemed like, you know, everyone was filled with optimism for the years ahead, and all of that. It seems like a different time now. But there was almost like a super weird thing where suddenly, and you see this happen to people sometimes, they suddenly get sent, you know, 50,000 designer dresses, and as you say, it looks like the clothes are wearing them, and they just, for some reason, they just look really odd, I suppose, because it's not fair.
And also they start thinking, oh, you know, I'm a phenomenon. They start thinking of themselves as if they're separate from their image, and then you lose that sort of authenticity. And actually, if you think of the women, you know, over the years, over the centuries, who are the ultimate fashion icons, they always had their own personal style. Whether we're talking like Jane Birkin is all about jeans, messy hair, and that bag, right?
Yeah. Now, there's a few people just joining us, so I just want to catch up everybody who's just joined us, and thank you so much to everyone for joining, and
thank you.
People commenting. So this is Plum Sykes. She's an amazing fashion writer, and she's also the author of the PS by Plum Sykes Substack, which is a great Substack. Just done a brilliant Christmas gift list. Gift list. She is also my sister. Someone was asking if she's my wife. She's not my wife.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, no. So Plum is a brilliant journalist, and the whole reason why I'm a journalist, and she's a fantastic writer. Her most recent book is called Wives Like Us, which is I would have to say, a compelling satire of life in the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds are the kind of Hamptons of England, are they, Plum? Would that be the way to describe them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is Meghan coming to the Cotswolds? Do we know? I mean,
she rented a house here for quite a long time with Harry. Do you remember? just after they got married, or just before they got married. She rented a house on the
Great Chew Estate.
Great Chew Estate, opposite
Nicholas,
Soho Farmhouse and the Beckhams.
Nicholas Johnson.
Nick Johnson. They rented a house there, so they were very much part of that. And Harry was part of what's called the Glossy Posse, the Gloucestershire Glossy set.
Right.
And that was all very close. You know, he was part of the hunting set, and you know, went out riding with all of them and all that kind of thing. That was very much their world. But look, to get back to Meghan,
there's definitely no trace, or am I wrong? But it feels to me there's no trace of English style in this shoot at all, is there? Or is there?
I would agree with you. There isn't really much English style. To me, the styling is, you know, it's very minimalist. It's almost like she's sort of almost naked, metaphorically. Why is that? Thank you so much. You know, there's so little going on. But I actually think that I'm not sure if that serves her very well, especially with the very stark studio that she's in.
Yeah.
You know, normally if we photograph what I call a real person at Vogue, so not a model, and by a real person I mean a celebrity or a designer or whatever, we photograph them at home or in their garden or in an incredible location, because it's so much to ask of someone to hold a photograph and a series of photographs like that if they're not a model. And even the great models would put them in a location. So like the really successful recent Vogue cover, which was Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner together on a ranch riding, that went completely viral. And you know what it was? It was the context. It was that they were doing something and the beauty of the scene. Whereas the recent Vogue cover, which was Nicole Kidman in a studio on a white piece of paper, didn't have the same impact at all.
Because there is something exciting about seeing somebody in their environment, isn't there? Like, it's nice to see people in their environment. Like you say, Gigi Hadid riding a horse, it's much more crack than Gigi Hadid sitting in front.
And we know that those girls love horses. I mean, the other thing worth mentioning here is that if you're going to do a picture like this, black and white, in the studio, you know, I want to say they wish it was natural light, but it's not natural light. They're kind of trying to do a Richard Avedon, right? But he did this kind of thing with like a Native American standing outside in the sun in Arizona, or a railway worker, or a beautiful young girl with plaits and freckles. And it was very stark. And he got people who had
whip out the Leica, snap it. It was like a moment in
personality in their face. And equally, Penn would do some incredible portraits in the studio, the most beautiful natural light. He had a studio which had, like, you know, north light coming from the ceiling and everything. But he was a photographer who could take a portrait that was magical of someone in a studio like that, because his lighting was so extraordinary. But they would only have run one picture. They would have run one portrait by Penn. They wouldn't run a series, like a fashion story that looks like portraits. Do you know what I mean? It's
Can I tell you something else? Can I tell you something else? So like Meghan has this really bad habit of, when she wants to telegraph that she's in serious mode, she puts all the pictures in black and white, and you see it on her Instagram, you see it on her Christmas cards, you see it on her birthday cards. For some reason, when she did the Vogue thing, you know, when she did the guest editing at Vogue, they would like all these, and it's like the way that she tells you that this is now really serious and this is now the real me. And it's like, I don't know, like, I think
it's the other thing. I think that's partly true for sure. Also, everyone looks better in black and white, just everyone. Right. It's like vanity. Also, I think that a lot of the most iconic photography happens to be black and white. So if you want to cast yourself as an icon, get yourself a black and white photograph. It just is more dramatic. But I think actually in this case, I think, to be honest, this photograph here, it's my least favorite of all of them, because I think the clothes are not doing her any favors at all. Having said that, the row is so fashionable among the Montecito billionaire set that it's also telegraphing, I'm one of you guys. I wear the same clothes. I fit in with those I aspire to fit into, because you wear the row, I wear the row. It's one of the most expensive designers in the world, and it doesn't have any labels on the outside at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't.
So I want to ask you
So-
another question. So Ben, we could go on to another photo, I think, as this is Plum's least favorite. So how much input, because I when we did shoots for GQ, like the subject would get very little input into the copy. Like, I mean, really, if anyone asked for copy approval, that was like a hard no. They were certainly allowed to, you know, their publicists made representations. And I think we can see from the very snide remarks included in this copy, I think it's pretty clear that Meghan was not given copy approval from these sort of snide remarks about her having her staff announce her to an audience of one person and these kinds of things that are
interestingly, Tom.
But what about, I was going to say, what about the photos? Do they get in? We always allowed people to have
photo approval.
The photos, they were allowed to come in and look at all the slides, look at all the contact sheets.
No.
And stuff.
I mean, Vogue, absolutely not, because it'd be a complete nightmare to have, you know, like Gwyneth Paltrow come and approve the photos or not. But you know, in the end, thank you, Spencer.
I think it's an outrage.
Thank you. But I prefer.
I agree with you. Plum is not allowed to comment. Plum could not possibly comment, but I agree with you.
Well, I think Chloe Mal was a brilliant choice, and I love Chloe Mal.
She was a great choice.
She is absolutely amazing. But you know what I was going to say is that copy approval with Vogue, absolutely not. No. Photo approval, absolutely not. I would think the same with Harper's Bazaar.
Really?
Because it's just not practical, and those magazines are big enough that people want to be in them enough where they go, okay, I'll give it out. Also, those magazines are not in the business of undermining their cover stars, because they're in the business of saying, isn't this person wonderful? I mean, I would never really have written a piece at Vogue saying, isn't this person awful? Because then no one would be in the magazine. Yeah. Because we wanted to get access to them.
Well, they definitely had a pop at Meghan. She had a bit.
I think they did, but
it was actually
I also think
an interesting piece of writing, because the first time you read it, and you read the cover line and all of that, you kind of think, oh my God, this is like another very sycophantic, you know, this is very sycophantic. They're just sucking up, blah, blah. But the more you read it, the more you see there's all these fissures in the piece in which these little bits of criticism have been inserted. And it's like, it's actually a really, really intelligent piece of writing, because rather than hit you over the head of it and saying, oh, she's, you know, so stuck up, she makes herself announce as a duchess, isn't that ridiculous? She just sort of drops it in like a little exploded bomb.
The point is that someone announces her as a duchess and then not comment and let them hang themselves. That's what it's called. It's let them hang themselves, you know. But I also think that if you are the kind of person who's said to your butler or whatever, please announce me as the Duchess of Sussex, if you read that in a magazine, it's not going to worry you because you did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You want everyone to know. You want everyone to know.
But I was saying as well, I can't remember whether I said this to you or someone else, but I do know someone who is a duchess, actually.
Yeah.
And if I go over there, or if anyone goes over there, no one comes in and says, Plum, the Duchess of. Just wouldn't happen. And they certainly don't say the Duke of when he walks in. You know, it's just not. It's the weirdest thing.
Exactly. I mean, it's like if you met somebody for the first time, right? They might say, this is my father, Lord so and so, and you know, the first time you meet them, it's not. Many people who are titled would like to be introduced properly, and there's a bit of respect there, and there's a bit of the tradition, and blah 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 blah. But the idea that you're going for your second interview with the person, you know, you've already done one whole interview, and you go for the second interview with. Anyway, we'll leave it. Leave it.
I mean, I agree with you about the writing, and I read it, and you know, like you, and I was sort of read it and thought, I didn't think it was sycophantic at all. I thought it was just like a very, very American kind of like, I'm reporting this as I hear it and I see it, and I'm going to report these rather strange quotes that don't make any sense, like the thing about like Harry recognizes the media or whatever. Don't even know what that means, but I love the fact that that journalist put those things in, and you just go,
I'll tell you what
okay,
that
well,
means. If you want to know what that Harry reads other media to me means. So basically, that's a reference to the fact that Meghan claims not to read any social media.
oh,
So it's like, it's basically saying, my husband reads the social media. My husband reads the Sun and the Mail website. I'm above all that stuff. I don't ever look at that stuff because I'm too, you know, I'm in my own zone. I'm in my own silo, and I don't read that stuff. Again, a really, really weird thing to include, and it's something that a lot of people have mentioned. Seems quite a, it seems a slightly, it seems like a slightly a domestic subtweet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's quite pointed, isn't it?
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah. So did you notice, and also this is something that I'd been meaning to ask you as well. We were talking about the visual echoes of Wallis Simpson. There's quite a lot of visual echoes of Princess Diana.
Yes, like this picture.
Yeah.
The Mario Testino.
Yeah, exactly. The Mario Testino. Ben, you may be able to find that, but don't worry if you can't. But there's a famous Mario Testino picture of Diana's actually coming the other way towards the camera. Her head is coming, but it's the similar white dress and that kind of thing. I mean,
and there was some black and white ones of Diana as well that
yes,
were, but they were very breezy, light. There wasn't this serious, you know, unsmiling, you know, person. This was Diana kind of being reinvented and actually becoming quite sort of sexy and unprincessy. It was almost, it was like, I'm just going to be relaxed and casual. It was the opposite. Whereas Meghan's saying, I am really serious and take me seriously. You know, I want to be taken seriously. And I think the problem is when you, exactly, that's the one, isn't it?
Well done,
I
Ben.
can't believe that was not a reference in this shoot. I cannot believe it was not a reference. If you look back at that other photo, I mean, that would have been on the mood board.
Yeah.
Because also it would be silly if you were the photographer and the fashion editor in the magazine. It would be silly not to have those on the mood board and not to sort of play into that, because it makes it more newsworthy. It makes it more interesting, you know. And I to me, this is one of the better pictures. Actually, I think this is probably the best picture because I think she actually looks relaxed.
Tell us a bit about the clothes that she's wearing there, Plum. I mean, obviously, fashion is its own language, and you're an expert at decoding that language. So, what message is she trying to send to us across?
So the dress, which is Ferragamo. I mean, Ferragamo, funnily enough, is not a particularly chic designer at the moment. It would be a big advertiser in the magazines, so they would have got it in. That is a beautiful dress, though. I will say that. The David Webb bracelet, very, very expensive jeweler. That would be kind of like all diamonds and you know, gemstones and everything. Again, very much rich ladies bangle, you know, cuffs kind of going to all. But interestingly, the ring, the twin ring by Suzanne Belperon, she was a very, very famous female jeweler in the 50s and 60s. Very, very chic. Definitely the kind of thing that Wallis Simpson would have collected. I would be very surprised if Wallis Simpson didn't wear Suzanne Belperon. It was right up there with kind of Cartier, Van Cleef, you know, those very modern, you know, almost a little bit surreal. So I think, again, it's like telegraphing, I've got a sophistication now.
Right.
You know, no one knows about Belperon apart from people like me.
Right.
You know, like most people would read that name and go, who? They know Tiffany. Like on the cover, she's in a pair of Tiffany earrings because that's going to be a big advertiser. Belperon won't be a big advertiser. But I think it's an interesting choice. And I think, like, I'm like, thank God they've at least given her a chair to sit on. You know, it helps. Do you know what I mean? One piece of furniture.
Yeah, because that's the weird thing, isn't it? Because there's no furniture, because it's just this board behind. It's like no personality. It's like there's no and that's like the sort of missing bit at the core, you know, one of the missing pieces at the core of the whole reason that sometimes to the critics that the whole Sussex brand feels hollow,
Yeah.
is because when they do a shoot for a show which is supposed to be about Meghan's life, it's in a rented house, or when they, as you say, like, rather than showing her riding her pony across a ranch, it's just a sort of green screen behind her.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think to get away with that, to be someone who can get away with never showing their home, never showing their personal style, you need to be a mega celebrity or person who's got such great achievements. You've got to be like, we're all happy to watch Warren Buffett sitting in a room talking.
Yeah.
Because he's so fascinating. Or, see a picture of Steve Jobs, or because there's something very compelling about those people. But if you haven't got all the achievements and all that interest in your face, I think it's a little bit difficult. I think for actresses it's a little bit difficult because they're always slightly looking like they're playing a role, and then because of that they seem somewhat inauthentic. I'm like, there aren't even any flowers. I mean, some flowers would have, or some plants or something, but I think all those choices are conscious choices, because they absolutely would have been able to have those things had they wanted them. And I think they're conscious choices. They just were like, we're going to do it as plain and simple as possible. But simple is really difficult to pull off. It's really, really difficult. I mean, if you think about, Phoebe Philo, who designed Celine, and, that now she's got her own line, Phoebe Philo, she is the queen of simple. And her shoots would always be completely plain, whatever, but they have this edginess to them as well. There's something a little bit punky, a little bit risque. There's nothing risque about these.
Right.
There's nothing. They could be an ad. They could be an ad, but maybe that's what she wants. Right.
But is it not that they're trying to be a bit gritty or something? They're trying to upend our expectations of what we do expect Meghan to be, that we expect Meghan to be glossy Netflix Meghan, and it all to be highly produced, and she's going to show us the other side of herself. I mean, is that feels to me what is potentially going on?
I don't think these pictures look very gritty. No, I think they're trying to project an image of someone who is a minimalist, who's going, my look is, the bare bones, the simple aesthetic minimalism. But I think, as I said, it's very, very difficult to pull off. And actually, Wallis Simpson was a brilliant minimalist. She just wore black dresses, and Chanel was the same. But they always put something with it. Their personal style was such that it looked interesting, or the cut was really interesting, or something, or someone like Carolyn Bessette Kennedy wore clothes a bit like this, but there was something incredibly alluring and fascinating about the way that she wore them. Like, if you look at the pictures of her wearing just a plain black Yohji Yamamoto dress, or a plain back polo neck or something, there was something about her, X factor, it factor, whatever it is, where you could put her in a room and photograph her on a white canvas, and she looked incredible. She was I do think being photogenic and being extremely beautiful are two important things. I'm not sure if Meghan's quite got that star power in her bone structure and everything in the way that some of those other girls do. And I also think that having a sort of very sophisticated knowledge of fashion, like this viewer just said, she's only just starting to learn about it. She hasn't had access to this stuff until the last few years, really. So she's, it'd be interesting to see how she's dressing in another 5 years. And whether it looks, whether it looks more interesting and on point. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, fantastic. Plum, it's been absolutely brilliant having you. Everybody's sending in so many messages saying they want you every week. That
oh my God. We are going to do the red carpet at the carol service, aren't we, Tom?
We are. We're hoping to do the red carpet at Princess of Wales's Together at Christmas carol service, which is on December the 5th, I think.
And we're going to do a deep dive into tweed coats.
deep dive into tweed
and coats and brooches
exactly.
and pillbox
Pretty
hats.
bows. And it'll be interesting actually to see, because I don't know about you, but I think Catherine's look has been a bit off since the departure of Natasha Archer. Myself, I don't think it's been brilliant. I think there's been a few misses, and
I liked the grey
am
suit
not
she wore
totally.
the other day, though.
Yes, I liked the green velvet dress that she wore to the variety show, but I did not like the Mad Sloane Ranger Redux blue suit with a giant bow that she wore to her speech at the Salesforce Tower. She gave this speech at the Salesforce Tower where she said that basically all you need is love, and it
sweet.
was, you know, it was cool. It was like, I thought it was a good speech, and it was very much like it felt to me very much like a placeholder for like, I'm going to be queen, and this is what it's going to be like when I'm queen.
It's going to be about love.
Stuff that, yes, it's going to be about love, is you know, and all this. But I wasn't wild about it. But I did like the green velvet dress, the variety show. Which is very cool in that.
And I think
William looked very cool.
I think
very nice tux with really nice tape down the side of the trousers.
Yeah, well, I bet he gets it all at Anson and Shepherd like his dad.
Of course, where
best
else?
tailor, best tailor in the world.
Yeah. So I've got some very important things to tell you before we go, which is that Plum Sykes is starting a new YouTube channel, and it's going to be very, very exciting. And we are going to post this video to it as one of the first things. So please, you know how important it is in the early days of these things. If you would go along to that, you'll be able to watch this again and like and subscribe to her channel. That would be really great. Obviously, you're here. Please like and subscribe to me. Get a Substack. You know the deal. You know the routine. It's been absolutely brilliant having Plum here. We're so lucky to have this incredible wealth of knowledge on tap. And so thank you so much. You subscribe at The Real Plum Sykes on YouTube. So that's where you subscribe. So make sure you go along there.
Tom. It's been really good fun.
What are you going to put? Can you tell us what you're going to put on your YouTube channel yet?
Well, I'm going to talk about chic.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about how to be chic, how to dress well, how to live well, with some thriftiness. You know, my thing is like, you don't have to do all of this with tons and tons of money. In fact, quite the opposite. So that's what I'm going to do. But Tom, I want to say it's been really good fun doing this.
Yeah.
And for any of the people who've just come on who don't know that we're brother and sister.
Yes.
You know, it's just such a laugh that we can do this as part of our work, and we get to have a chat, and I get to indulge my obsession with everything that Meghan is wearing, which, you know, I am obsessed with what she wears. Love her or hate her, I don't really care whether I like her or not. I'm just really fascinated by what she chooses to wear, and also the fact that everything she wears becomes huge talking points. So she's doing something right.
We see that's what Ted Sarandos said. So Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, and he was criticized when, like, obviously their first show was a massive hit, and then everything they did after that sort of didn't really, you know, chart or anything. So he was criticized, and he just said, well, I actually think that Meghan, you know, is very underestimated in terms of her cultural impact, because as just basically what you said, if she wears a coat or a jacket, or she uses something, you know, it sells out. Now, whether that's still exactly so, it doesn't seem to have translated to her her brand, particularly, that people maybe haven't quite bought it in the same way, or have
very different.
Seen the cracks,
very different. It's very different wearing something designed by someone else, and then adjacently you're promoting it, to promoting something you created.
Yeah.
And you're kind of touting it. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard to create something good, right?
It's hard to create something good, and then it's really hard to promote it yourself and have that seem authentic, rather than like, I just need some money or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Ted Sarandos, because love her or hate her, she's driven a lot of eyeballs to Netflix because people are fascinated by her. And I would say, Tom, I agree with you that she, again, whether you like her clothes or don't like her clothes, she is part of the zeitgeist right now. And what she does and what she dresses, and the way that she's part of the zeitgeist is this thing of becoming someone who is a multimedia personality with their own brand. And whether it works or not, we don't know. I also think that she's probably far more photographed really than the Princess Diana ever was. If you look at the volume of material now that there is on Meghan, and we always
really
think Diana was the most photographed woman in the world. I think Meghan must be dealing with far more than that, really.
Yeah,
because the
and
internet.
it was very interesting today. I really noticed that today, like, she sent out an email today from As Ever going, oh, we've had like this mic drop moment, and you know, blah blah blah. And it was funny because like the media in general has been totally scathing about the content of this interview, right? Everybody has leapt on this thing about her announcing herself as the Duchess. Like, oh my God, she's so pretentious. She's blah blah blah. You know, but it's like she just doesn't care. She's just like, she's in that world of like, I'm just going to weigh it. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to weigh the coverage, you know? And it's like, she's like, you know, had this this mic drop moment and blah, 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 like boasting.
What's the mic drop moment, by the way?
It's like, you know, when you drop the mic and walk off the stage, like, yeah, I'm so amazing. And you drop the mic and you walk off the stage.
Oh.
It's I don't know. I didn't explain it very well. Can someone explain a mic drop moment in the comments? If you can do a really good explanation of a mic, why Meghan would say that her Harper's Bazaar interview was a mic drop moment, we'll put it on the screen, because
she said that about the Bazaar interview.
Well, she was, yeah, exactly. She was saying this week has been all massive mic drop moments. When you break the internet was one suggestion. I mean, yeah, not quite.
Oh, when you break. So is she
like,
so by saying I'm having a mic drop moment, because I want to understand this, is she saying I'm congratulating myself or I'm embarrassed?
Everyone's talking about me and I'm delighted. That's what she's basically saying. She's saying, hey, it's been a massive week for me. Everybody's talking about me and I'm thrilled, you know, like, and that's what's really, really sort of mad about it is like, and you sort of, you know, so what, I suppose what I was kind of trying to say was that she's very like a sort of modern multi-platform. She doesn't really care if you're watching because you love her or you hate watching.
No,
she doesn't really care as long as you watch.
The thing is, the eyeball is the value.
Yeah.
Because aside from her products and everything, if she's got all of those eyeballs, she's going to be selling stuff. So that's the value. So the more eyeballs she gets. You know, data. Right. On that note, Tom Sykes.
On that note, Plum, thank you very much. Readers, thank you very much. And we are going to say goodbye.
Yeah, thank you so much,